Careful, Steven, your battery life will go down.
Not on Stadia.
Oh! Didn't realize it was that controller. All right, welcome to episode 114 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers. And hey, look, I've got arm room, bigger desk. I'm so happy. Joining me in this joyous moment of a larger desk, Steven.
Hi.
He seemed like very confused, like, I don't know what he's doing. Chris.
Hello.
A little bit less shocked and still wondering why she's here. Rachel.
I'm here.
We always appreciate that. All right. So thankfully this week has been a little better given everything that's been going on. I remembered the music this time. Steven reminded me though.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah,
Such proud.
It's such responsibility. Not going to argue. I appreciated the heads up just in case, like, Jeremy, hey, you might want to remember this time so we don't have another great clip out there. Speaking of which, over on YouTube Shorts and Instagram, I've been trying for the past couple of episodes to put up shorts and clips from that. So if you'd like to go and laugh at us in smaller chunks or just wonder our opinions on what we're doing, you can go check us out there too. Apparently a lot of people watch those.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Take a look, go watch it, share with people, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. So we're going to start off with what we've been up to. And Rachel, since yours seems to be kind of eventful for upcoming stuff, let's start with you.
I've mainly been streaming on Twitch a lot. I haven't really been, I guess, playing anything other than what I'm streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I did. I'll tell the story on the show too. Why not? I had this really funny glitch happen twice on my Twitch stream where someone subscribed or resubscribed, and the notification didn't appear in the activity feed at all. Nothing.
Oh, Lord.
Nothing at all. And one of my friends, because my friend Amelia was watching, and she's like, I used my Prime sub, yay. She's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I promised I subbed. And I was like, and I'm like, this is weird. And then I'm like, fast forward to a couple days later when I'm streaming again, and I had my friend Brian who resubscribed. Nothing, no notification, nothing. And then 3 hours later, the notification comes in on the activity feed, and I'm in the middle of a boss battle. I'm doing something, whatever. And then it's got this notification that really loud and just scared the bejesus out of me. And I don't get easily startled, but that I did not expect. And then I'm dying. I'm laughing on screen. I had to pause it. And one of my friends was like, what? And then Brian was like, I subscribed 3 hours ago and it is just now appearing.
I have a horrible term for that. I just popped in my head. Tantric subscriptions. Nice. I'm just going to hold off. Oh, there we go. 3 hours later, it's subscribed.
but it was just really funny because I checked the app. I checked the normal notifications that you can see on the web browser when somebody subscribes. Nothing. So I know it's not me. It can't be me. It has to
not
be
me. It's you.
It has to be Twitch. So something is hinky is going on there. I don't know. I don't know. It was weird. And then of course I tried out Lethal Company with you guys the other night. That was hysterical. So to kind of
left me on a planet. I was still alive.
Listen, how was I supposed to know? I sat there. I waited for 10 minutes. Stephen was dead, and I was like, well, there's this giant monster looking at me. I'm gonna go.
Okay, in my defense, when we wandered off, you said you were going to follow me. I was like, all right, let's go look over here. We'll walk over. I turn around. You're gone. I'm like, crap. So I go looking and find another entrance.
In my defense, Steven went the other way.
Steven still had a radio.
I couldn't use the radio, which I'll talk about.
And so yeah. And so anyway, first game we did, I got insta-kill by a spider immediately when going into that building, which was hysterical.
Rachel, run!
And then I died. And then the next one, I survived this crazy bipedal hedgehog looking thing, which I saw it like when we first went in there and I was wandering around, I went into the like room, you go in the door and you go to the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I turn and there's this open doorway. I think, Steven, this might have been when you tried to jump over the gap.
Yeah.
Maybe. and it didn't. That did not end well. He died.
I literally told her, I said, if you don't hear me talk in 5 seconds, I missed my jump.
and so I turned and I'm going into this other door and I turn and I see these two eyes and this I see these two eyes. I see one eye, but then kind of the other one, and it's walking like across the screen, right? And then it backs up and it looks right at me, and I go, "Oh no!" And I close the door, thinking this thing's not gonna know how to open doors. It can't be that intelligent. And I go down to try and get away, and Jeremy, you and I are both down at the bottom of this stairwell,
staircase, yeah,
and there's nowhere for us to go. And then all I hear. I hear the door open and I'm thinking, oh no. And all I hear is Jeremy go, Rachel, run. And I see his body get picked up by this thing. And this thing runs up the stairs and leaves the room. And I'm running out of the building. And then I get back to I get back to the ship, and of course it's just me, and so I take off. And it was something. And then of course, like the next one, I think, Jeremy, you were dead, and then Steven and I got back and we saw the treeple, and that was terrifying.
Oh
yeah. It was really funny the few times like Steven and I were dead. You were poking the ship, and both of us, because you can talk to each other when you're dead.
Yeah.
But you can't hear the living, or
Mhm.
the living can't hear you.
Yeah.
Steven and I are both like, Rachel, take off. Just take off in the ship. I hear something. Just take off. And you're asking like, are you guys still alive? Hello?
Oh, the thing with the eyes, I did find out, and that's why you had that moment you could run.
Yeah.
Those creatures get spooked if you look at them. So
But only for so long. Yeah.
If you look at them, they'll back off, but they get angry if you stare at them.
So when I stared at it, it drew it to me, because that's when I was like, Rachel, run, and I shined my flashlight at it. So that's why it didn't come after you anymore.
When you creepered the creeper, he was just like, I'm gonna kill you.
Oh yeah, no. And then like when we got to the one planet with the moon with the canyons and stuff like that, there was that weird tiger looking thing. I think I was the only one that made it back to the ship.
There was two. You said there was one and there was two.
I only saw one. Okay, so I dropped all of my items and was like, all right, guys, remember me, and just jumped off and ran for it to kill me. And it did.
Got punched and munched. Yep.
And I ran.
Its mouth is full. It can't fit another human. I jumped down and his brother's like, hi, I'm hungry too.
There was another one. My favorite one is still the worm that like latched to my face. So I'm yelling like, how do I get this thing off of me? How do I get it off? And all Steven hears is
Yeah, you would have loved it, Chris. I was just sitting there kind of like eating popcorn, just like, he's gonna die. And there's nothing I can do for him.
Just running in circles, going like, get it off, get it off, get it off.
But it was really something. And
Chris, you need to join us. This game is great.
It's hysterical, Chris. Like we're not even joking. Like I got mad, but I was laughing so hard that I forgot that I was mad. So but then of course I finished finally connecting and setting up the rest of my consoles. So I have my PS2 set up now. So I can start looking for PS2 games again that I want to play and miss dearly. And then I also got my Wii U set up. God, that console, it's
doing its best, okay?
It's
in
real.
retirement.
Listen, it's like my PS2 doesn't have as much like weirdness going on with it, because all you do is like, okay, plug in the game and it just goes. The Wii U, since it doesn't have like any connectivity to anything, like you can connect to the internet just fine, like no problem, but there's no like of the the drawings that you used to get from your friends and stuff like that, and
Miiverse. I miss Miiverse so much.
So all of that, you can't get any of that. There's nothing doing. But you know what Nintendo left automated messages from Nintendo. So if you look on that screen, it's just all of Nintendo's stuff from back when the Wii U launched. Like that's their default. And I'm
Yep.
sitting here going, okay. And then of course, you know, I'm like, oh, I should probably update. And I got my copy of Xenoblade Chronicles X and I started playing it a little bit. Still a good game. And then I was like, oh man, the loading screens. Oh yeah, there was that update that came out. And then as I'm downloading these, they said some of the content for this is already installed on the Wii U. And I'm just like, well, my save clearly didn't survive somehow. I don't know why it didn't. So why would any of this be on there? So I reinstalled everything. And bless its heart, it took almost 3 hours to download a 10 gigabyte update because nobody's doing jack squat with those servers, which I don't blame them for.
There's one intern on a bicycle attached with a chain to the server running the whole thing right now.
It's
Okay,
like-
give him a break.
One
It's like-
left.
It's like, oh, we got one person trying to download that one thing. And that's all it was. But
If we slow them down, maybe they'll go buy a Switch instead.
I already have a Switch. But
Buy another one.
I don't want another one. I technically have 2 Switches because I have the OLED model and then I have my previous one that I had not traded in or did anything with. So it's just sitting in my closet. Maybe I'll do something with it. Maybe I won't. I don't know.
I made one all my single player games and the other one all my party games.
That's smart.
Nice.
I did
and I
not
made
want to
the
do that.
party one the primary console so it doesn't check the internet to make sure I own the game wherever I go with it. You have to make sure to do that too. You have to set which one is your primary.
Yeah.
Well,
It's annoying.
if I did something with it, I would do something fun with it, I guess. But and I'll just leave that description at that. And then of course, finally, I'm going to a Ren Fair tomorrow.
Ooh.
But here's the thing: it's the
Get
Brevard.
pictures.
It's the Brevard Ren Fair, and if their
Mhm.
social media is to be believed, and my friend Clove just messaged me, by the way, there's mud everywhere. So I was like telling one of my friends, and he's like, "It's several inches deep in some places. Please be careful." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I don't know how long I will stay."
Now I really want someone to be cosplaying and dressing as like the King Arthur and them from Monty Python, so you can have the villagers just collecting mud.
So, I mean, they've like thrown tarps down, and he was saying stuff like, if it doesn't rain again, it'll probably be a lot better tomorrow. We're supposed to get a light rain in the area in the morning.
The mud maintainer.
So it's just one of those things. They've thrown down tarps. They've done the best they could. It's just the way of things here. So I'm just like, I'll see how long I stay. I'm wearing boots. So there's that, but we'll see. And it's also supposed to be like the high is 67. So my outfit is like a pair of leggings, 3 skirts, a shirt underneath a long sleeve shirt, and then a heavy cloak on top of it. Also, I'm wearing a wig to keep my head warm because because it's outside. I'm also wearing a hat, okay? Listen, my hair, this deflates even more than it already is right now when I go outside. So it's just better that way.
Hear that, Chris? She's cold at 67.
Let's not get into that.
Listen, okay?
She's a Florida girl.
I'm a Florida lizard,
No,
okay?
I'm saying that because as of right now, the Midwest is negative 21 outside.
That is disgusting. Please keep that away from me.
I have to build heating kits that fix stuff in that weather, so yeah, I'm aware.
I am just,
Ooh.
I'd rather not. Like, anytime my friends are like, you should go to this con, or you should go to this con, and I'm like, what time of year is it at? And they're like, oh, it's this time of year in Chicago. And I'm like, it's gonna be snowing there. You are out of your damn mind.
Like in my head, when I walked outside, it was like Sonic being underwater. Eventually, you hear the drowning music, except it's for frostbite. So I'm like, oh, crap.
Oh, no.
And
But-
it's still dealing with a blue character because I'm sure you were just freezing.
But anyway, that's what I've been up to.
Nice.
Yeah.
Became a group discussion there for a bit, but
It's okay.
God, Lethal Company is so funny.
That was
Chris,
the whole
please
point.
join us.
That was the whole point. I
Next
wanted
time,
to bring up
next time.
I wanted to bring up Lethal Company so we could all talk about it because it was a fun
Oh.
time.
I still cannot believe. I didn't realize my son had told me, and I'm so glad he did. You have to play this using the in-game chat. Do not use Discord or anything else.
Correct.
Because it modifies your voice based on the distance, as well as stuff like when the worm was on my face as I was screaming, trying to get it off. All Steven could hear is a muffled version of it. Get it off, get it off.
And when you, it's not really a spoiler, but when you come across the mimics,
Uh-huh.
it records things you've said and repeats them in an echo. So people are like, what am I hearing?
Yeah, my son told me that was a mod you can download, like a mod pack that goes to that. They don't naturally do it because mimics aren't even part of the game normally.
Well, I watch one person who does mods, another one who doesn't, and apparently, eventually, you do get ones that while they won't have the enemy,
Mhm.
they'll have the sound. So people will think you're alive when you're not.
That's
there won't be a mimic.
Oh,
There won't be a mimic or anything, but there will be echoes of your voice just to freak you out. And the
okay.
reason for that is you go over to see, like, oh, what's Jeremy saying? And there's a turret there shooting at you instead. Or there's a mine. And you can't see mines on the monitors. So they, instead of giving you enemies to run away from, they just lure you in. I'm like, oh, boy.
All right. Well, Steven, you're up next. What have you been up to?
I've been playing Lethal Company. If that's not obvious.
Again.
I'm trying also with Lethal Company. I'm looking into it because I don't understand it yet. Steam made it very easy with theirs, which I might check theirs. That when you want to mod your game on Steam, you just click a few things and it installs it. It's harder when you do stuff outside. I'm trying to at least get the suits just because I want to see Jeremy run around in a Ghostbuster suit.
I would do it in a freaking heartbeat.
I'm trying to get that. I'm still playing the two games that I've dropped for right now, the sniper game, but I am still playing Teardown, destroying things. That one has mods too, actually. And you can just either select them or deselect them. Don't select the dog; it's annoying.
I haven't done that
I
yet.
find myself throwing the dog in the ocean.
After the last show, the way you described it convinced me to break down, and I went ahead and bought it. So I'll have my own stories.
Fights in Tight Spaces I've been playing as well. That one I think took up like 8 hours of my time.
Oh wow.
That is such a card building roguelike. It's just so much fun to play. That eventually you might get to a part where it's impossible for you to win unless you just get the right cards, and you won't. So you have to restart your run, abandon it. And then lastly, since the demo came out on everything, I did download both the Switch and Xbox version of Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. I heard nothing but good things, both in reviews and everybody's impressions. Hearing that it was from the Rayman Legends Origins developers, Ubisoft Montpellier, however you say it. I'm going to butcher the French language. And that they made it for the Switch first and optimized the Switch version. Therefore, if you play it on any of the other consoles, it's pretty much just better optimized because they just made it so it runs well on everything. Ironically, though, with all the stuff I looked into for Prince of Persia, there is a thing called Ubisoft Connect.
Yes.
That it requires the internet on all systems except for Switch. Switch, it comes up, but because Ubisoft knows it's a portable system, you have the option to say maybe later every single time. So if your servers ever shut down, go look for the Switch version because it'll be the one that you can still play.
I think they said you can play the games offline, like so if that server ever shuts down, because you wouldn't be able to play the online version of it anyways. I think it's annoying. I agree with that, but
if it came down and then somebody just bought it and never played it before, then they would have the issue. So I don't know if they'll ever patch it out.
I'm curious. I need to when I get mine. I need to load it while it's shut off.
But lastly, for anybody who's playing Lethal Company on their Steam Deck and they're having a problem with always running and not being able to do something like, I don't know, turn on your flashlight or use your walkie-talkie, which they were like, are you dead? And I'm like, I can't say anything because I can't use my walkie-talkie. If you go to your settings on your Steam Deck and go to controller, Steam Deck has to be the first one in the order, not your controller. For some
Oh.
reason, once I rearranged the
Gotcha.
order to put Steam Deck first, my beautiful Stadia controller was just like, I can do whatever you need to now. So now everything worked perfectly. And nobody on the Steam community knew that. I had to find a Reddit post where someone's like, yeah, just do that. And everybody's just like, you're the greatest. Upvote, upvote, upvote.
Nice. I'm also
That's
glad to see I'm
awesome.
not the only one using a Stadia controller with a Steam Deck. That thing was great. All right. Chris, what about you? What you been up to?
Well, I finished Lego Skywalker Saga, and now I can say I have experienced episode 9 at last. And it was as bad as everybody said, even in
Oh my
Lego
God.
form.
Oh, the game is still fun. It's weird, but it's fun.
So you played all 9 episodes?
Yes, I played all 9 episodes. The Lego
Yes.
prequels were better than the real movies. The real, 4, 5, and 6 are still better than the Lego ones. And I'm never playing Lego 7, 8, and 9 again.
I haven't played those yet either. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I was like, I'll get to those.
There you
I
go.
can't say much.
Aside from that, I also played a demo to a game that Steve showed me called Sonic Overture, which is essentially a prequel detailing. It's kind of got a little bit of an Epic Mickey hook,
Okay.
where Sonic is facing off against the character that Sega would have picked if they didn't pick Sonic.
Alex
And that's
Kidd?
become his kind of wacky rival. It was that rabbit guy that they almost picked.
Oh, okay.
So it's very well done. It's actually supposed to be
Hmm.
Sonic if it was released for the Saturn, and it feels very much that way.
It's
It
got
even
3D
has the
level-
Saturn beginning, which
It's
is
got 3D
nice.
boss fights, like 3D level boss fights. Kind of neat.
Oh, nice.
So you can get the demo. It's just 2 levels to play. Well, 2 full zones, actually. 2 full 3-level zones. So it's a lot of fun. If you can find it, download it.
Okay. So lastly, I'll jump into what I've been up to. I also, as I said, have gotten Teardown, and of course been, as I do in Minecraft, seeing how much destruction I can manage to just pull off at one time to bring my new computer down to its knees. So I did the C4 mod and just kept running around going, I'll put it here, 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 and making it bigger explosions. One, I found out there is a blast radius, so you can die. And 2, if you put enough C4, even a 4070 Ti is going to be like just like a slideshow as buildings and mountains and stuff come tearing down. I purposely went and found a custom level someone made of like this giant mansion that sticks off of a mountainside on a beach. So I was like, well, yeah, I got to make that fall. So I'm like running around the house, putting C4 to just basically behead the whole thing and watch it crash into the ocean. That was oddly satisfying. It was really fun. But the actual game I've been trying to figure out, I've gotten through a few levels. I'm stuck on one because I just don't get how I'm supposed to get these 2 stolen cars into this truck and get 2 computer servers that are in 2 separate buildings across the water all in 30 seconds. I'm like, do I have to literally cut part of the building out and find a way to bring that over closer? Like, I'm trying all kinds of crazy things. But it's a lot of fun, but I just got to figure that out.
Yeah, you kind of have to literally carve out a path that you're going to take.
Right.
Yeah. I've been trying to figure that one out. Of course, I prep everything, and I'm like, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and, do the save like it says so I can keep practice. Oh, crap, I cut the cord on accident. Shit. All right, we're live. I've got 30 seconds, and I'm like running around trying to do it. Next up, I'm almost done with Super Mario RPG. I have 6 of the 7 stars, so hopefully I'll be able to finally finish that here soon. I have only played it handheld, I realized. I've never actually seen this on the TV because it looks so damn good on an OLED. I'm just like, I'm just going to play it while I'm on the go. It's been great. Still a really funny game, which has been fun. Of course, we've been playing Lethal Company. We've already heard me do the enough. Hopefully we'll do that again some more. Amanda and I finally watched, and we finished off Echo on Disney Plus, the new Marvel series last night, which I do really like. I know some people complained about it because anytime there's a female lead in one of these things, somebody has to be some asshole and complain about it. I thought it was really well done. They went to the actual group and had them directly involved to make sure that any of the references, cultural stuff, everything they had, the language, all of it was accurate, which was great. I actually learned new stuff from that, which is always a good thing. And I thought the character was handled well. Hopefully they'll have her come back in more stuff. And I'm always glad to see their version of Kingpin. D'Onofrio has always been really good in that role to me. And he is just evil as hell because he's good at that. That guy's just, he's really big. It's almost concerningly like, I hope that's a suit big. So we'll see. Just like muscular. The last thing is I've finally been playing some of that Link's Awakening DX HD because I found out I was like, oh, I don't have to do the mods to get it running on Steam Deck. I can just run it natively on my Go. And it's fun. I mean, it's just Link's Awakening, but it's so hilarious to zoom out to the entire map. And I'm just this little guy trying to run around and be seen while I'm doing stuff. More of just a, hey, how does this run and what can I do type of thing. But it's been fun. So, all right. So let's jump over to the news. Yay, sound effects. So this first story is once again going to be involving something we just love to hate for very good reasons. But straight up, I'm just going to say this is some bullshit. So SAG-AFTRA, who we have been following and rooting for a while when they were doing their strikes against the movie industry, finally had made a deal. But then all of a sudden, they have signed a deal to allow AI copies of voice actors and announced it during CES. This agreement is with the company Replica, and they state the deal will, quote, enable Replica to engage SAG-AFTRA members under a fair, ethical agreement to safely create and license a digital replica of their voice. Licensed voices can be used in video game development and other interactive media projects from pre-production to final release. This agreement establishes minimum terms and conditions, but also allows the voice actor to negotiate the use of their work for all digital voice double, is whatever it's put in, and requires said performer to have the opportunity to opt out of its continued use in new works. The problem with this is so many really big voice actors and even smaller voice actors, and people are going, what do you mean we approve this? They never voted on it. They never said anything. They just did it. And it feels super, super shady on this one. So what do you guys think about this one? Steven, what about you?
I did not appreciate the fact on their behalf that they are given 48 hours at the time of the announcement.
Yeah.
So I follow quite a few voice actors on X. So I had like Xander Mobus, who I just know as the Smash announcer, but he's done tons of anime work as well. And he had threads and threads of questions that he's just like, these are going to need to be answered by majority of us. And even Tara Strong, she said, okay, I'm going to go with it. But I too don't like it that we were just like handed this, and most of us found out through the announcement and weren't given any kind of heads up, town hall, anything. So there was that issue. And, in certain usages, like some of the voice actors who have come, unfortunately, through any kind of medical instance that it affects their voice box, be it throat cancer or anything of the like. It escapes me who's the voice of Professor Oak, but that's definitely one of them. And especially somebody like Robert Paulson, who thankfully got through it, but it begs the question with some of the aging ones, like where does their livelihood go once they cannot do the voice? You go back to video games like Dragon's Lair. I think it was called Return to Dragon's Lair for Xbox and PlayStation 2. That one, the original Dirk Dadarian could still do his voice perfectly. However, the voice of Daphne could not hit the high notes anymore, so they had to recast her.
Yeah.
But if they were able to, say kind of help her with her livelihood, saying, hey, we're bringing back a series long beloved, so we're going to pay you more because we're licensing you, and
right
to sign off on it. The problem with it is, again, with it's fine and dandy if you're signing off on it, but my big question was, how does this all come into, and will it into fair use and parity? And the reason I say that is because the recent controversy, which I think is really not a big deal because it's just for clout and it's to get them visibility. But another person who did a bad impression of George Carlin trained AI to sound as close as he could to George Carlin, and it still sounded really bad. Like it did not sound like him at all. And they put together a podcast saying, with a disclaimer saying, just a reminder, this is not George Carlin. This is me doing a bad impression of George Carlin, but I made a whole hour comedy act for you using what I think he would talk about, and it's called "I'm Glad I'm Dead." It did insult a bunch of fans, including Carlin's daughter, saying, "Go watch his original 14 specials." But again, my worry is, you know, a lot of people are they're going to be like, "Oh, this is fair use. This is parody." So I can use your voice for whatever I want because as long as I put a disclaimer. So that's some of the stuff that I hope they ask about because then I've seen it been used without a care everywhere.
Yeah. So the thing with the Carlin one, what I didn't, you know, it's not just like the two comedians and they have an AI that they use that they fed their work to let it make jokes during the show. They fed it all of Carlin's stuff, let it decide on the voice, let it decide on the content, and just let it go and do what it is. And it's like, cool. So you stole the work of this person for their entire life to make your joke. And everyone's like, oh, it's not for profit, but they have advertising on their podcast. They get other stuff. It's for their name. Like that's really skirting the not for profit on that. And my other thing is like, I understand like the uses, like say they did something very similar before AI for like Roger Ebert, where he would, when he lost his voice, he could still continue to do his reviewing job by using a computer generated copy of his voice during his later years. But if people either are aging out of jobs or things like that, if they can just continue to use their voice in perpetuity, as long as they're doing that, that kind of blocks other people that may be coming in that, you know, you're talking about the woman that did Daphne's voice. I understand they couldn't use the original one, but that, you know, that was a job for the one that did take over. That was, you know, it's not a generated voice. It's another one. So I worry like how many companies, as long as people are alive, still doing this, that they're just going to pay maybe a lesser amount to get this more popular voice instead of trying new people. Like it kind of cuts them out. What's up, Steven?
I think on that note, I think it would still come down to the audition. I think it would still be down to, especially since the majority of the public don't like the AI voices because they never sound that convincing in terms of, you know, how they're enunciating certain words, especially all the mispronounced words out there that they do that I've heard. So I don't see it as they're taking it away from the new voice actor. It's still going to come down to, well, who does it better? You should be able to do better than AI, I think, because they cannot do cadence and they cannot do strong emotions. And the most important thing for video games, they can probably not do screams, grunts, groans, yells, pokes. They can't do all those feelings yet. They all can just do text to speech.
Right. Rachel, you had something?
I think this whole thing is a like double-edged sword. I think there's a usefulness to it, like specifically aging actors and stuff like that. But I think it's other than that, I don't know any voice actor that would opt into this. I really don't. I wouldn't. If I was a voice actor, I would not, unless I had something happening to my voice that I may, like literally me as a person, if I like originated a role or something like this, I would want my voice to stay as that character as long as it possibly could. But there has to be an end date for it. Like, I think so. Like and one of those things that's like also the companies that created this, like for the fans, would probably want that particular voice to stay the same for the most part, unless you have a really good impersonator who does really good vocal impressions. But I think it's gonna I think the smart way to do this for anybody would be really, really, really severely stated contract terms. So you can only use this AI recreation of my voice in these certain situations and for this X amount of time and for these characters. And then also there has to be like if it sounds bad or if it sounds obviously AI, you are then authorized to employ whoever that does a good impression to essentially bridge the gap that the AI cannot fill. So there's going to be contingencies and stuff like that. There's a smart way to do this. And I think good companies, like good, trustworthy companies that are going to utilize this, are
Right.
going to take those routes because they want to keep those people in those roles. They want that for the fans. But also, like, they're going to have to be very careful. There's going to have to be like lawyers involved. Everyone's going to have to learn to be a lot more specific, and there's not going to be, you can't use blanket terms in this kind of situation because
For
it's
sure.
just going to get AI over the years is just going to get more and more and more and more and more and more advanced. So you got to keep
Can't stop it.
you got to keep
Yeah.
the control that you have while you have it, and then keep it for as long as you can. I will say AI is getting its fingers into so many different things that I enjoy due to like fair use and stuff like that. I will be the first to say, and I say so unashamedly, I read a lot of fan fiction. A lot of fan fiction.
Hey, you do you.
And it's convenient, it's fun,
I've
and
nothing wrong with it.
for the most part, it doesn't hurt anybody.
Right.
But it can. Chat GPT, we got real scared for a while in the fan fiction world. So all of the like sites are being very careful now. You have to like put a disclaimer that says, hey, this was generated by this. And there's all kinds of other different things too that the AI can be good if you utilize it correctly and safely and responsibly. Like literally any technology or substance or really anything in the world, if you use it responsibly, it is okay. If you do not, there is a line.
Yeah,
So,
AI is not the problem. It's the people, as always, that are the
Yes.
problem. If someone will use it in a way, if they can, like I said, if they're looking at voice actors and then someone's got their voice listed and they can do it for a quarter of the cost,
Yeah.
they get the job. And then someone who's actually trying to come in and make a living that doesn't already have a relationship going, it kind of stops them from that. But an example you're talking about, like of having a hard line on their voice work, is Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Where even with Disney, he was like the chokehold on there. Like, look, we've done Aladdin. You have me as the genie. You are not allowed to do anything after that with it. And they had to get special permission to use footage or voice work they had just for that short clip they did of the genie here. I think the last year or two.
Yep.
Like they had to go to his daughter and make sure they were cool with it and that it was only his original, no AI voice. And that was the first time Robin Williams came back, post-mortem as the genie, and the only way.
And I mean, they did have that little nod to that one character that he played in that one little thing in there too. Yeah, but that was
stuff like that. But that was with family's permission, and they were using only his clips.
And I think honestly, for every actor out there, whether you are a voice actor or a normal actor or whatever, you have to have these hard lines in your contracts because, as much as I hate to say this, and this is going to get slightly dark, human beings at their nature, I think for the most part, are inherently good. However, we are also inherently very exceedingly selfish.
Human beings want to fuck other human beings in any way you take that. That's just
we are
species.
We are good to ourselves. We try to be good to other people, but we are at our core curious and selfish. So we're going to poke that bear. That's just what we do.
Evil will always win because good is dumb.
But it's just we're like I said, we're gonna have to be very careful, and the lines will have to be very defined. I mean, y'all heard me say this. I said this at the beginning when all this SAG-AFTRA stuff was going on. I literally said when all this comes back, and now there's another group that's going on strike. By the way, I don't know if you guys like heard that. I'll have to look it up, but there's another group that's going on strike. And one of my friends was like, well, gosh, we're just never going to get TV back now. But like I said, hard lines. That's just what they're going to have to do in the future. And it'll either go well or it'll just go. I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be a poorly about it because it's hard to define now.
Chris, you have any thoughts on this one?
You guys pretty much covered it.
I know you've had feelings about it before, and you have that look like you want to say something, but
I'm good. You guys brought up a lot of the points that I would have. So.
Okay, I wanted to make sure. Chris can fight back. It's all right.
Fight back, Chris. Fight back.
All right. So let's jump on to the next one here. So this is more of kind of like, hey, we have news about upcoming news. Microsoft has announced an Xbox Developer Direct for January 18th. So we'll go into details of exactly what we end up seeing next week after that has happened. But we do know they have announced that Machine Games will be showing off 10 minutes of the upcoming Indiana Jones game.
That's the only thing I care about.
I just want to see it. I love me some Indiana Jones.
Indy's my favorite. That is the only thing I care about. I know it's going to be at Xbox, but I
just want to see how that goes. What's up, Steven?
Can I just say how deliciously poignant it is that Machine Games, the developer behind Wolfenstein and Nazis, is doing Indiana Jones? It's
in their defense, it's one game of killing Nazis to another game of killing Nazis. So
except
I mean,
with more flair and more style and handsome Indiana Jones.
More whips.
Last Crusade, you have chosen wisely.
Yes,
I love their games, so I'm excited to see what they do with it. I mean,
listen. What are the odds that we get to see Indy shoot Hitler in the nads?
X-ray cam.
X-ray cam.
It's like an X-ray cam with a whip.
I need a whip X-ray cam.
And you know that, oh god, an X-ray cam, not even X-ray cam. We need a slow zoom of, when you flick people on the nose, it's the whip. Put on the nose.
Or give us a QTE where you have until the guy finishes doing his little sword dance to shoot him.
Perfect.
Oh, that'd be great. Oh man.
A+, 10 out of 10.
I would play.
Would play again.
We're finally getting more solid information about Hellblade 2. Hopefully release date. I know it's this year, but I really want to play this one. We're seeing updates for Avowed, which I've been wanting to see, and we haven't really heard anything about it since its announcement. And then we have other titles they're going to show. We don't
other titles.
Yeah, well, I just put other titles.
Indiana Jones titles.
Not Avowed, not Hellblade, not Indiana Jones, whatever. This, of course, people really want to know about this because it comes after those rumors and leaks that people were claiming of titles like Hi-Fi Rush coming to Switch and PS5 and potentially Sea of Thieves coming to PlayStation 5, which that brings up the whole debate about exclusivity of how that works that we talked about prior, which I hear the both sides of this, which I get. Like Sea of Thieves, I actually do like, hey, if it comes to PS5, that's more people playing a better game and maybe not playing Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Screw Skull and Bones.
Exactly. 100%. Sea of Thieves is a good game and it needs to be on every single console possible to prevent people from playing Skull and Bones.
Friends don't let friends play Skull and Bones.
That's it. We absolutely despise that game. That's God. We're terrible.
Let it be known. Fuck that game. Steven?
What I love about those exclusivity discussions is whenever I watch any of these direct state of plays, whatever have you, with Chris next to me, he will see something that looks fantastic and he's just like, oh man, and he starts to get down on himself like, I'm gonna have to buy and then it says for PC and PlayStation 5 and he's like, I will have to wish list it.
I think that's smart of him to do that.
More people are still playing the game. It's just like, it's like he said before, it's like, I don't have a reason to buy the system if everything comes to PC because I have a beefy PC. So I don't know why people are saying, well, now my argument's gone. And I was just like, maybe you guys shouldn't have been arguing that way in the first place because console wars are a social construct.
I get that, but
that's why we mock them.
The point, though, I mean, it's always been this way. It's not so much of like, and this is, I cannot be crazy for the fact I keep seeing these arguments for this, where people, the biggest reason they're like, oh, PlayStation 5 is so much better, and they'll immediately go into because I can only play this Spider-Man game there, or I can only play that God of War there. Like they're exclusive titles for all this time. But then as soon as the tables turn and it's something that's only on an Xbox, I immediately start hearing, well, it needs to be here. That it's stupid that they're not putting it on more stuff. Not, they're cutting away money for doing that, or it's not fair that they're taking these titles. And I'm like, do you hear yourself? Like, it's so weird in the back and forth. And I do like the fact that Microsoft's like, hey, we're going to put it on PC. We're going to put it on Xbox, because you're still playing on basically a version of Xbox in one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm playing my Xbox games on my PC, on my Legion Go. Like, they don't give a damn what I'm on. They're just glad I bought the games. Like, that's the point.
When you're somebody like Microsoft, and I'm going to give you an example of the sales.
Uh-huh.
Last month, they gave off the sales everybody had been wondering of how Christmas did in Japan. So once again, Switch buried everybody by selling over 4 million systems, even for a 7-year-old console. The PlayStation 5 was picking up traction because it's available now, so they got 4 million consoles sold with their games they have out. Lowly Xbox, as much as they try, sold 111,000 systems during their, the big season where everybody's buying it.
Right.
So this is genius for Microsoft, because they're like, well, if there's 4 million PlayStations in Japan, putting Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush on it is just opening the doors. And if there's 32 million, I think right now of Switch alone in Japan, again, Hi-Fi Rush would be perfect, because then Microsoft sees growth.
My argument for that, though, is if they're going to keep releasing stuff on these other systems, they're not focusing on designing it for their own things. Why do I bother getting it on that? Because like I like having my Series X. I like what it does for that. There's a lot of things it can do, vice versa. But I know a lot of people that will be like, well, if it's going to come to this eventually, why do I even bother? And it's kind of like a chicken and an egg argument. Like, you're not going to get your sales up to have people get into your environment if the games are just going to go somewhere else anyways. Go ahead, Chris.
I think it also depends on what system they show up for first. That's what they tend to know. If Hi-Fi Rush shows up on Xbox, they're going to get Xbox. Halo is known for the whole Microsofty thing, much like many games like Persona. Pretty much most of the Persona series is known for being on Sony. So it's pretty much first come, first serve. By the time a lot of these other games show up on other consoles, usually the hype's already died down by then.
Correct.
Everybody who wanted to pick it up and play it has done so.
Now
it's just getting the stragglers.
Another thing to think about too is like a game, even if something is timed exclusive, let's just say this, even if something is timed exclusive, if it doesn't sell well in however many months in release, if it doesn't sell well enough, it will never come to those new consoles.
Right.
So, because they can make that decision, even if they said, like, maybe it's not written in stone, maybe it's not in the contract. If it doesn't do well enough upon initial release, there's a chance that it'll never be ported or brought over to another console. So that's why I kind of think I do like timed exclusives, because that makes sense to me more than just pure exclusivity, where it's like, okay, it's coming to here and it's going to be on this console for this long.
I get that with third-party games, which has been completely skewed by Square, where we're still waiting for Final Fantasy VII on anything else. But PC. When people are having the expectation with first-party games like Bethesda and stuff like that are part of Microsoft now, it's kind of a weird one.
I
think overall you could even put a button on this by just using a soundbite you have nicely saved for why they put stuff on multiple platforms after a while.
Well, instead of referring to Rachel for her voice acting, we'll go to the AI version.
Corporate greed.
Must you call it that?
Jokingly, yes. But if Rachel ever loses her voice, we will still have that.
Have you noticed that? I didn't see it, and I've lived quite some time. I've lived through the GameCube era. And I don't remember anybody who owned a GameCube getting pissed after, especially since Shinji Mikami said, and I quote, "Resident Evil 4 will not come to any other system or I will cut my head off." And then
I
it came
remember
out
that.
for everything.
I
And
was
yet,
so pissed because he did
and-
not know either.
oh, and yet here we are.
And Capcom's like, no, we are the corporate greed people here. We're gonna put it on everything. And then he's like, just kidding.
It's like,
I'm
coming
not
to
gonna. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna cut my head off. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it.
Someone
the fans are like,
yeah, they're pulling this, and they're like, hey, it came to PS2, and he's just going like,
Oh
So
damn!
I'm sorry, when something's a hit or wins awards, are you really
To-
going to keep it on there for that
to
long? Or if there's a way to put it on more systems, aren't you going to? I don't know. Like, are there people who are just like, I am never going to put my podcast on any other platform
I mean,
except YouTube or
that
Spotify?
same argument can be turned around the opposite way for like PlayStation 5. Like, okay, well then why isn't Xbox eating Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2 or these other third-party games, even though they're made first party and they're done, they can sell
Ask
more PlayStation.
Sony.
I mean,
Yeah.
Spider-Man's on PC. The first one is now.
The second one will be. Just give it time.
Yeah,
the
give it
thing
time.
is, though, in those days,
Mhm.
exclusives were system sellers.
Yes.
So it was more important. Not only that, but there really were graphical and auditory differences and gameplay difference between these
And you
different
know,
consoles.
Yeah,
They
but I
really
mean-
were separate things.
thinking about it, you are right. Back in the day, exclusivity was system sellers, but now systems are game sellers.
Yeah, it's very different.
It's
the
opposite
Birds
now.
of Fable-
Systems have always had to be game sellers because you always would lose money on the hardware and gain it back with the software sales.
But
Which I
no,
get.
I mean doubly so. Like sometimes games won't necessarily do as well sometimes on occasion unless you put it on everything that you can.
Right, which is what used to be the third-party rule,
Yeah.
and then that kind of got skewed. It's become this whole mess for stuff.
Everything's
what I'm
so
talking
different
about-
now.
I know, but I'm talking about like Spider-Man and stuff like that. I'm not
Mhm.
talking about the older generation ones.
Yeah.
Even the Spider-Man for PS4 was not that long ago. It was within
Nope.
a few short years. Yet that one's everyone's like, oh, it's made by Insomniac, so that's a Sony one, so that's only going to be on PlayStation. But then you have the very flip-flop of that of going, oh, well, this is coming out. It's being made by Bethesda with Microsoft, which is a first party, but that should come to everything else. And I'm like, you can't have it both ways on that. You can't say
No.
this can only be ours,
I
but
just-
what's yours is also
I-
ours.
I
They're
guess
not
it-
married.
I guess it's I guess it's one of those like conversations that people who grew up in different times have different opinions on it. Like us, we were used to, well, I mean, and you guys are used to this too, because it was the same way in the 90s as it was in the 80s and so on and so forth.
The
Um,
90s.
And it's like, we just were used to exclusives. We were used to this. This is just one of the things that we just were used to.
We were
for-
there in the console wars.
forever.
Only in theaters.
We lived the only in theaters. We lived the only on Xbox. We lived the only on PlayStation. We lived this every
Only
day-
on Super Nintendo.
every single day of our lives in
Yeah.
gaming. For most of our lives, we lived this. So we just got used to it. And then of course now fast forward to now and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on, what? Like I just expect if it's made by Rare, it's gonna be on Xbox and Microsoft stuff. If it's made by Insomniac or something else that is Sony related, nothing is coming to mind right now. It's somewhere gone. Naughty Dog. There we go.
Right.
Where?
What?
Where?
Square, yeah. But Square has other stuff too on there. But like, it's just one of those things that I'm just used to this. This game company puts out on this console. So then when people start arguing about it, I'm just like, clearly y'all weren't alive when
Well, there's never going to be a clear answer for this. And I
No.
know part of my argument's not the fact that I don't think companies should have some of their games and more stuff. Like I am 100% if they come out and go, hey, we're bringing Sea of Thieves to PlayStation 5. It's already on PC. And then they bring it out. I would be, that's great. That's
overjoyed.
more people.
I would kiss him on the mouth. Like
But I
I'd be
think
like, please.
There should be a little bit more in both directions if you're going to do
Mhm.
that. Like there should be exclusives. There should be some that you share between them. And I know that's a pipe dream for a lot of that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think we've touched on this one a bit. So we'll jump into our next story with Steven here.
So I like to call this Switch 2 news and rumors. Because let's be honest, in the year of Switch 2, hopefully, every day we're going to be talking about Switch 2, whether we like it or not.
Oh, it's going to be
I'm-
trending every single day, no matter what.
I'm
Oh,
just like, whoa, okay.
Recently, two things have come forth. First one is, remember Game Shark?
Oh God.
I do.
Well, they're still around. However, they've rebranded themselves as lovely AI Shark.
What the hell is that?
And they will no longer provide cheat codes. They will provide guidance to where you go. So I'm believing that they're going to be like a chat GPT saying, where is the potion on level 3? And they'll be like, it's on the second level. You idiot.
Yeah, a guides writer came back and said, hey, where are you guys going to get those from? Oh, that's right. You're just going to scrape all of our guides that we wrote.
Well, let's be honest. By the time guides come out, a lot of them are outdated, and I hate Brady games. But anyway.
They
No,
were
I'm talking about
art books.
I'm talking about like
Strategy
GN's guides and
art
stuff
books.
that they do in real time. But yeah, art books. Yeah.
Strategy guides are just art books.
Regardless of what they provide, out of nowhere, they provided a press release,
Mhm.
and they stated that they are reviving the Game Shark brand, and they are launching in September 2024 to coincide with the Nintendo Switch 2. Therefore, the internet went ablaze, as usual, when
Well,
it
they
comes
knew it would.
mentioning Switch 2 by name. And as a accessory licensing partner, some random representative from Alltech Lansing, which is working with Game Shark, said, "Oh no, we guessed that date." I'm like, "Sure, Jan." Like, no.
I'm sorry.
Like,
I just
How do
you
you put
said
out an official press release with a guess on it?
you said two words that I have not heard in years, which is Alltech Lansing. And I can hear how it is said, like in audio form on whatever they put their stuff on. Alltech Lansing. Like I can hear the inflection, and I can't believe that little soundbite stayed in my brain for that long. And
Dude, you're getting a Dell and it's got Alltech Lansing speakers. Like,
Yeah.
it's just-
You can tell when you're getting a phone call.
yeah.
I remember that, the shitty shielding on it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So we got that to digest, but then around the same time, people were noticing that certain first-party Switch games were disappearing from availability. So these evergreen titles were just out of stock. The only ones that are pretty much definitely out of stock for the most part have been Paper Mario Origami King and Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Fire Emblem Engage was out on like 2 retailers. The other one still had them.
Yeah, I went and bought this one just because I was like, yeah, I guess I might as well get it now.
And you can still go on, I think, woot.com and get that for $25. So you're good. So the rumor can go two ways.
Mm-hmm.
Either Nintendo's just doing what they usually do, like fast food places go. Just like Jimmy John saying we're no longer going to have Kicking Ranch. They're going to just bring it back and say, hey, it's back, and get everybody excited. People are thinking that they're taking these titles away to rebrand them as Nintendo Selects and have a line of greatest hits.
That sounds
Because
like their
Because it's
game.
the end of
Enjoy the Pick McRib while you can.
But of course, like I said, with every day being Switch 2 Day, people are saying, well, what if they're rebranding it to put that it's also compatible with Switch 2 as well? What if they're going to re-release them all around the time of the Switch 2 to be like, your favorite titles are back and they work on the system? So it has people believing right now that there could be backwards compatibility.
Okay.
I, for one, think it's going to be Nintendo Selects, but if you guys have any other conspiracy theories, let them fly.
I hope for Selects.
I hope for Selects, but I also, if it is Switch 2, I hope it's just the backwards compatible him-ha that I will put on my clown makeup for right now. So
I can think of a worst case scenario, but
the worst case scenario is that they're just going out of stock because they're not printing them anymore, and there's going to be Switch 2 and it's not backwards compatible, and we all are very upset about it.
oh well, the worst part would be with that situation, and then these are all released as Switch 2 exclusive updated versions where it's completely separate. That's the worst case
Or
scenario.
you could release the new Nintendo Switch OLED and only Xenoblade Chronicles 4 works on it, and there's no other games.
No, not Xenoblade Chronicles 4. They would do Xenoblade Chronicles X the like remake version on the new Nintendo Switch OLED because that is what they literally did with Xenoblade Chronicles. You got
Chris
it.
asked me, he's like, "Hey, what was there any other games that only could play on the new 3DS?" I was like, "Nope, only Xenoblade."
Well, see, the new Nintendo Switch will have that new AI technology. So you just sit it down and watch as it plays the game for you on the super easy mode, and then you're just like, wow, and it tells you how you should react.
Shark.
Oh no!
Careful! Don't jinx it.
Literally,
that my favorite company.
That would literally be every parent's dream of them. I want to experience this game so I can understand what my children are talking about. And then the child would go, "Oh, I could just put it on super duper easy parent mode for you." That's what it is. That's the secret. Parent mode is just AI. It's like they're watching a movie.
Oh God.
In my day, Hi-Fi Rush is when the boombox was too loud.
Oh, that's terrifying. Yeah, dear God, this is a mess. I still, going back to the Game Shark thing, like they knew what they were doing. Like you do not purposely put those two buzzwords in there and be like, oh no, this happens to say Switch 2, and you just release it. And of course the internet's going to lose their shit and start talking about it. They claim stupidity, but everybody's talking about what they're doing. They're either marketing geniuses or just evil bastards, or both. I don't know.
And they're fiending for an answer, so they just pull somebody who probably wanted to go get his lunch break, and they're like, "You work for Alta Glenson? Come here. Yeah. When's Switch coming out?" I don't know.
We've got AI in our name, and a lot of people block that on Twitter. What's another big buzzword we can use? Oh, Switch 2, cool.
I hope they have a theme song so it can be like AI Shark do.
That's probably what it would write because it would just steal it.
How dare you? How dare you?
Fair use parody. We can do it.
But
ChatGPT, write a theme song using Baby Shark for AI Shark. Thanks.
Oh God, their entire speech and introduction done by Robin Williams.
Oh God, no, he can't. That's in his contract. It's not going to work.
We'll have it'll come with a 1-hour comedy special by Sam Kinison.
Oh God, so much screaming. Oh, that guy was great. Yeah, so that's our news. We'll go ahead and jump into our big question for this one. I forgot which other sound I used. Or just...
Oh, damn.
Works too.
I think it was the ominous, like, millionaire sounding one.
I don't have that one on in here right now. I gotta fix it. It disappeared. I forgot. That's what it was. I used press start last time. Anyways, so the big question we had...
You gotta write this down, buddy.
I'm winging it.
He's got a new PC. Give him a break.
You should write it down.
AI cannot copy true chaos, and if you are chaos and ungovernable, AI will never copy me.
Hey,
press the co-pilot key and say, "Give me an ending, please."
Say what?
I said, press the co-pilot key on your keyboard and tell it to give you a sound effect for the ending.
You do that, you're gonna get.
Since
the most dramatic ending.
Cortana, Siri, Bixby, and Echo can't help it.
Just have them talk to each other and argue it out. So I went back and grabbed the other part of Chris's question from last week. Who's doing, what's changed since you started gaming and the way you enjoy video games in the current era of podcasts, walkthroughs, and spoilers? So, Chris, since this was the idea you originally had as well, I will let you go first, please.
All right. This goes a little bit with what we talked about earlier, but one big thing that's changed is that computers are now as powerful as consoles and more so, which I think clinches the whole exclusive thing. You know, so many console companies went, oh, wait, someone can get a PC and better stuff than us now. And that's when all the merging happened, I think. Aside from that, it's very difficult to not spoil your gaming experience if you look up even one thing on YouTube. If you look up a trailer for a game that's already out, let's say if I look up, Pizza Tower trailer, that had something really fun, and then I look to my right, the 5 cool bosses of Pizza Tower you did not want to know. I'm like, awesome.
Or Jeremy might randomly mention someone dying in Final Fantasy. Unintentionally
during an award ceremony.
Oh man. So yeah, walkthroughs, I still go back to game facts. It's still there. I'm happy that it is.
Respect for the fact there's still text.
Exactly, So spoilers in podcasts do make things a little difficult, but to bring things back in Steve's perspective from before, if I don't want to play a game but I'm still interested, I'll watch somebody who enjoys it play it. I'm watching Maximilian play the Lies of P thing that Steve said, and it looks very cool because Max really enjoys Bloodborne and Soulsborne games. If I played that by myself, I couldn't get past the demo. I was so terrible at it that it just meant nothing to me. It's like, how to put this? It's like having somebody who really enjoys a series tell you about it. Or just like, I don't have time to read the books. I don't have time to watch that TV show. But somebody else is just like, okay, here's about that really cool new character from Dragon Ball Z. I know you're busy, but I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes telling you about it. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to sit here with this can of sardines. You tell me. So, yeah, that's a big difference, I feel.
Okay, cool. Steven, what about you?
A few things. I feel some podcasts help nowadays. Before podcasts were a thing, you kind of just went off people's articles of what they kind of thought about a game. But now you'll hear about games you haven't tried, you haven't played, because they'll mention it on the podcast that there's a sequel to the game you didn't know about or anything like that, and whether it's good or bad. So you can kind of be like, I didn't even know it existed. And you can go through that. I definitely agree with the spoilers. The algorithm can mess you up, so be careful what you do.
Oh yeah,
um,
they're listening.
Walkthroughs. I still don't use video walkthroughs because unless they have chapters, it's really hard to find. But at least on GameFAQs, you just scroll until you're like, or you can Control F and find where you need to be. So that's helpful. However, what I do enjoy in the current era more than anything is because there's glitches, problems, incompatibilities, issues like Lethal Company, I fully enjoy the fact that there's so much access to just technical support that I know the company would self, especially since Lethal Company was made by a furry Roblox developer all by himself. And I doubt he's got tech support. So the fact that there's communities that will help you for either your just the system-wide help to just game glitches to see if that's normal, to even like on Dead Space 3 when we had issues finding out how to play co-op, and we kind of took some different Reddit posts and
Steve,
some
the furry community is tech support. They're all programmers.
So it's just nice to have those outlets now. Back then you didn't have those outlets. Back then you didn't even know about cheat codes unless somebody shared it in school or you read it in a magazine. So magazines are the dead breed now, and forums are like the new magazines.
You bought a book at the book fair and it was full of cheat codes that were organized by console alphabetically by game. I know.
I remember those. I remember those.
And if you want to know when the part of gaming that had the most issue, just look at the Final Fantasy IX strategy guide from Brady Games.
I remember that.
Where every page says, please do play online and go to this website to learn more. And they didn't actually tell you how to get through anything.
That was the death knell of strategy guides right there. They knew it was over. Mess. So,
but it is getting to the point where if you want to go into the game, and I mean go into the game completely fresh, you have to go off the grid.
Yeah, because I'll go ahead and go next on this real quick, just because, like, you've got a lot of people. It's not just the fact of, podcasts and stuff, but there's an entire group that seems to, in better words, get off on trying to spoil anything they can for people that enjoy something. Like they will. It's not even like, okay, yes, I accidentally spoiled something on Final Fantasy 16.
It killed Dumbledore.
No, you bet.
So, like, yeah, I accidentally spoiled that, and Rachel's really trying to turn her camera off now. She's like, no, I'm out. But there's people that will go out there and find anything they can, and they will go to just reviews of the game or people talking about it where they're just discussing their excitement about it, and we'll try and just throw up like, oh, this is what happened here, this is how it ends, like, oh, we stole it and we got it early, and we here's the ending boss, and stuff like that.
Sometimes they don't mean it either. Sometimes they're just so happy about the game that they just keep talking about it and don't realize they're spoiling what you haven't seen yet.
Well, that's one thing, but I'm specifically talking about this rise of people that are purposely trying to do that. They want to.
Oh, fair.
Like, even if it's something like,
sorry, look how fast people beat Spider-Man just to spoil like the ending.
That, but like then there's people that are using it maliciously. So, as an example, the game we don't normally talk about, part of people's argument for that was to immediately go to every conversation about it when people were debating back and forth on what was going on, just posting the ending over and over again, going, here's how it ends, this is what happens, I've ruined the game for you. No matter how you fall in that argument, that's a dick move, just to go in there and try and ruin it for everybody.
To do, yes.
And that's just one example I can think of immediately. And I'm sure there's people that are going to argue like, oh, that's fine, do that. But
it was awful when that was happening. Like, I had to avoid Twitter because that's where it was the worst. I had to avoid Twitter entirely. I still occasionally get stuck in games, even games that are way old. And sometimes like you can read it, but it still doesn't explain something. Like, you're like, okay, I've done that, but it's not working. And you have to go. That's why I delight in some of the like guide websites that have pictures. I love them. I kiss them on the mouth. Reference pictures. Nothing that gives anything like really spoilery away, but they're just like, hey, we know this part is difficult, so we provided these pictures for you. And I'm just like, oh, I want to kiss you on the mouth. That's beautiful. And like, I don't necessarily like think my way of playing games has changed at all. In more recent years, I think the only thing is that like, if I know everybody else is playing it, I'm not going to watch streams about it. I'm not going to go on YouTube watching playthroughs about it. I'm not going to seek that content out. Right. And I would never have sought that content out even if it was available when I was much younger. Like, I just don't. So I still practice the avoid practice of avoiding that kind of thing. Sometimes it is very hard to, mind you, especially when I'm like on Discord calls with friends that are also playing it. But thankfully, a lot of people, like when you're playing a game, they're like, oh wait, have you gotten, what part they ask you, what part are you at? Where have you gotten to? Because you might want to get out of the call while I talk about this, and I'll message you when you can come back in, or just, I won't talk about it at all, and I'll talk about it to them at a different point. Most people in my friend group are that like sincere of people where they don't want to spoil that kind of thing, or they don't want to like or they're like, oh man, Rachel, you have to finish playing this part. I'm really excited to see how you experience this in other than what I did. Like, I want to see what the differences are, but I know you're playing through this, but just know I'm really excited. And they will just keep it at that.
I think Steven and I are waiting with you with that, with like Dark Side Detectives, going like, when's she going to start it? I want to hear what she thinks. That game is so funny.
You are more than welcome to be like, if you see me playing it, you'll be like, hop on a Discord call. I want to hear your reactions. You're more than welcome to like do that with me. That is perfectly fine. There was something I was going to say. Oh, here's an interesting thing. Like, I know a lot of people that when they get their like review copies and stuff like that, or if they get the game early because of, a shipping fun. Like when I got my favorite game ever almost a month early, due to reasons. And
oops.
Yeah. And that was entertaining. It was also terrifying because I was like, the game, because it doesn't come out to like 2.5 weeks from now. And so I like waited a few days and I watched the movie, I watched the anime, and then I finally said, you know what? I'm just going to play this and be happy about it. And I like turned I hid my online status, so it after like because it wouldn't let me turn it off while I was doing the install.
console
Like
knows.
yeah, it wouldn't let me turn off the online status while it was installing and while it did
Whoa.
its first boot. So when it said like so and so is playing this, I got like 30 messages from people going, how are you playing this? And I didn't answer. I just didn't answer. And like,
I don't
so
know
I
what you're talking
literally,
about.
and I literally was like, guys, I just mind your business. You'll play it when it comes out. And then I'm like, I don't want to spoil things for you. Goodbye.
It's a glitch. It's a glitch. I'm
Yeah.
playing Odyssey.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. It's one of those things that's like I think a lot of this where you get things spoiled for you. I think it's more common, at least for me. If something is spoiled for me, it is spoiled for me in a malicious way. It's going to be something I come across in social spaces where people are talking about it and someone in the comments maliciously spoils something and it's happened upon. I'm very thankful that's only happened to me once. And I have learned to very fiercely avoid it now.
Yeah. I think
but-
the other way I've seen a lot of it, other than just malicious, is sadly the people's hunts for clicks and views. They
Mhm.
will make,
Oh yeah.
here's my screenshot or whatever that like spoils everything, going like, what could this secret hidden character be? And they just put the damn thing right there. Or like movies, here's the after credits, and they show some character being shown. You're like,
it happens now more so I think with TV shows than it does with movies. Like here's a really good example of something being spoiled. The newest season of The Boys. Have you guys heard the discourse on this with okay.
I haven't
So
watched the trailer yet.
So I mean I haven't either. But they, when Soldier Boy is in it has essentially been spoiled for a bunch of people due to a screenshot or a thing on a poster, like, and then some advertising agency put out or something like that. Like it's now been spoiled for a bunch of people. I myself have not seen that because I don't seek out that content. If I see anything, like I'll read the first like 2 or 3 words of an article and I'm like, nope, that's going to spoil something for me.
My only hope with that is the fact that I will give them credit. The people behind The Boys are really good at doing stuff like that on purpose as a way to kind of mock other things. Well, I mean, like they've done like social media stuff around.
Oh yeah, no.
Like,
I know.
like
trust me, I know
good about that.
But it's one of those things that it's like I don't think this one was one of those accidentally on purpose things. So I won't talk about it any more than that because I don't. I feel a little talking about it because I'm like I don't want to. Yeah, but it's more so loyalty to certain actors that I'm like, I don't want him to be disappointed by me talking about this. He doesn't even know me.
Right.
But it's one of those like things that is like, I think with this practice is everybody should be of the same mindset, which is be a nice human and not a good human, just a nice one. And don't spoil things for people, especially when it's something they love. If you do that, you are evil. Like you have at least one evil bone in your body. And
So going back to the other one, talking about like people that they get review copies or early copies and stuff like that, and they make all this content, they want people to see it day one, kind of also feeds into not so much, not people like Steven or Chris where you're watching Lies of P because that's not something you're going to play. So you're watching that to enjoy it. But I do see a lot of people that they don't play any games. They only want to watch them. So they don't care if they see all this stuff day one and these people want to get those clicks. So they'll like the day a game comes out have already been posting and putting all these screenshots and stuff that show bosses and secret levels and all these other things, and you're just like, what the crap, man? Like we haven't had a chance to play it yet. You've had months in some cases, if weeks at least. And now you're wanting all this attention and their arguments like, well, you just should stay off social media. that's not realistic. Steven, go ahead.
Yeah, similar to that, I do know some people who, if they're not interested in something, they'll be like, "Oh, I read all the spoilers," and I'm like, "Oh, am I supposed to take your reaction and not be excited because you don't care about the game? Am I supposed to be excited because you don't care about the game?" So it's almost like spoiling by osmosis, because it's just somebody just saying like, "Okay, I saw the spoilers. I don't really care for the game." I'm like,
yeah, it's like, I didn't
why
like
did
it, so
read them?
you shouldn't like it, and I'm gonna do what I can to make sure you don't enjoy it.
Why should you read them? I would also like to say, like, I really don't like data mining, because I feel that that's spoiling with clout, because people are just wondering what a programmer left on there for later, and it sucks.
Yeah, same thing goes with, like, I like Nintendo Direct, State of Plays, the Xbox stuff they're doing. Like, I get excited to see these things, and yeah, people have the argument, oh, it shouldn't matter if it's spoiled, it's just advertising, you're just giving in to the advertisers. No, it's something. It's like a Christmas present. How excited are you as a kid to be like, what's in this box? I'm gonna unwrap it. Your cousin just comes in and goes, oh, that's just a Super Nintendo. Yeah, you're excited you're getting a Super Nintendo, but you would have loved to just rip that open and have that moment of realizing what it was and enjoying it, and they just shot it down and walked away.
Do you know what's a double-edged sword?
What?
You watch these reactions, because I love doing it. You watch these reactions to the directs and State of Plays, so you can see different fandoms go like batshit over an announcement. However, because you just fed the algorithm, you then get reaction videos for when such and such dies, and you're just like, no, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, that's the downside of an algorithm. There is, like, it remembers what you've looked up, and I wished, that is one thing that I wish.
Thought of Rachel's face, and then it's like from The Walking Dead. The algorithm remembers this.
like I'm just like, I wish there was, okay, so how there is a way. Mm-hmm. There's essentially an extension that you can get for your browser that it just yeets ads into the sun, and sometimes websites don't like that. I wish there was like a way to, like, I'd rather keep this out of the algorithm. I mean, you can put your browser on incognito mode, and that helps a little bit, but it's just like,
this is why we should go back to gaming magazines. They didn't really report on us as much. They just wanted you to subscribe.
Oh my God. I think
Game
the only
and EGM.
I think the only magazine left that I've actually seen on shelves is PC Gamer. I think that's it.
PC Gamer is forever.
I think that's it. I don't think it'll ever die. Like Electronic Gaming Monthly, gone.
No, I missed that one so much.
I'm pretty sure it's just long gone.
They got so big they had an EGM too, for God's sakes, and I would read that every month too.
You will occasionally see a PlayStation magazine. Like, I think once every couple of years you'll like see it on a shelf.
PSM.
And I'm just like,
I hated PSM.
It's like seeing a really like rare extinct creature in the wild.
I missed the Dreamcast one, because boy, they were so hopeful. Those poor sweet children, they had no idea what was coming.
Yeah, I do miss gaming magazines. Like, people are like, oh, you go to digital magazine. I'm like, y'all don't know the absolute pleasure of going into a Books A Million or a Barnes and Noble or
Walmart,
a Walmart or literally any store that carries magazines, and you turn and there's a gaming magazine. Like, it's like, oh yeah,
I remember
I'm reading
the E3
that.
issues. It's a double size E3.
Screw the tabloids and People and Vanity Fair, and unless it's like, talking about a cool new movie or whatever. But it's like, screw all those magazines. Bring back the gaming magazines, y'all. Bring them back.
I will say though, shout out to the Video Game History Foundation. That
yes,
if you are a fan of old game magazines and you want to roll the dice, you can subscribe to them, and they will send you random gaming magazines, but you pick the era, so to speak. And
if you pay more, you get to pick more precise of which magazines and stuff.
Get a monthly box of magazines from days of yore, and it's a beautiful thing because you might even get a number one.
Yes, Rachel. this
you're
is real.
supporting a charity foundation 100%. That's the best part.
Yep.
I'm gonna need a link to that. So
I'll send it to you because I need to remember to do this too.
And we also need to share it on our socials to really get them some more clout.
And they take donations of magazines, especially if you have like ones that they've really been looking for, because they're working with other sites to make sure that all of them have been scanned in so we never lose an issue.
You know, I donated all my Nintendo Power and I had a ton of things. I donated them actually to the library. And I asked them, what are you going to do with these? And they said, well, we actually, we keep them. And I go, do you really? And then they said, yeah, no, we do. Like, and to my knowledge, they have scanned them and put them on their like server, as far as I know. But this was like
in my
years ago. Yeah. So I was like, cool, awesome. But if I had kept them, I would have sent them to this place.
Or sold them and bought a car.
Probably.
All right. Well, I think this was a good discussion for this week. So we'll go ahead and start wrapping things up. And once again, we used to tell you where we can be found on the internet, but now, like, the humans you are, not the AIs, robots don't listen. You can go below this video and see all of our contact information listed down below. Or if you are listening to the podcast, you can go into the file. Usually all of the data is listed down below as well. If you want to reach us directly, though, at on Twitter for the podcast, it's at Zenspath Podcast. And then from there, if you were watching the video version of this and you would like to listen to us, you can find us over at pretty much anywhere you can find your podcast, be it Oppenheimer, Apple. We are the destroyer of podcasts. Apple Podcasts, zenspath.libsyn.com. You can also find us on Spotify. Pretty much anywhere you find your podcast, you can find the Zenspath Entertainment Network. If you're listening to this and you'd like to actually watch the video version, you can find us at youtube.com/ZenspathCom. We're also doing a new thing over on our Twitter account for the podcast. We're going to start doing little daily events. We're still planning out the other ones, but the first one I did was going to be our Moving Forward Mondays, which is taking the videos that I record when I'm doing the openings for my Moving Forward, which is FOREWORD, like a forward in a book. I always have to explain that. Where I'll post one each week and get people to talk about it and so forth. Maybe see if I can line them up on some, anniversaries and so forth. But we're working on other ideas for the rest of the week. But this has been episode 114 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network. And we're out. Peace. Bye. Support your libraries.
Switch 2.